Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Laura. Good morning.
Parked on the wrong side of the road. On that side of the road. Easy to listen to. Hard to jump.
Yeah, I got some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Right, right.
Okay.
All three of you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Ready?
I'm John Winklepleck, fourth generation crop and livestock farmer from rural Dyser.
I'm Janet Wilson, part of our family's fourth generation Tama County farming operation near Cloutier.
And I'm Heather Knibble. My family and I live on an acreage outside of Trent.
Even though you have renamed this opening hour as a public comment session, instead of calling it the work session as you previously did, before we filed the public complaint against you with the Iowa Public Information Board for your violations of the open meetings law, you are still acting as though this first hour of your meeting is not part of a public meeting. That is incorrect under the Iowa open meetings law. According to your minutes, since at least June 6th, you still act like the public comments are not part of a public meeting. You do not call your meeting to order at 8:30, which is by law when the public meeting actually begins, since the three of you as supervisors are all together at the same time, and you are deliberating even if you take no action. Your public meeting actually starts and should be called to order at 8:30, not 9:30 a.m. Your meeting minutes and the way you conduct yourselves as supervisors and support staff should reflect that. For example, the minutes of June 27th say the Tama County Board of Supervisors met at 9:30 a.m. and then you list the supervisors who attended.
Here's action item number 1. Will you go on public record today as agreeing to continually comply with the Iowa Open Meetings Law by acknowledging from today forward that your Board of Supervisors meetings start at 8:30 a.m. with the public comments and not at 9:30 a.m. as your minutes and continued practices have reflected?
Sure, our attorney would be looking at that for public, information.
Is Carlton Sammons here today? I repeat, will you go on public record today as agreeing to comply with the Iowa Open Meetings Law by acknowledging from today forward that your Board of Supervisors meetings start at 8:30 a.m. with the public comments and not at 9:30 a.m. as your minutes and continued practices have reflected? That's pretty much a yes or no answer.
It's pretty much whatever our attorney tells us.
Does he tell you everything what to do?
No, but you'll see the documents.
Your June 27th minutes are inaccurate in another way. In your minutes, you state, and I quote, "The group spoke with the supervisors for the entirety of the public comment time." That is also incorrect. The coalition only presented for 31 minutes and 40 seconds on June 27th, not the full hour. The public's questions of Sheriff Dennis Kuchera took the total general public input to 49 minutes. A total public discussion of 49 minutes, including public questions of Sheriff Dennis Kuchera and others, does not constitute the coalition consuming the total 60-minute public meeting time. So it is incorrect to say the coalition spoke for the entire public comment time. That simply isn't true. There wasn't sufficient time to spare. There was sufficient time to spare for anyone else who wanted to speak. No one else came forward in the time remaining in the public comment session.
Here's an action item number 2 for you. Make sure your public meeting minutes objectively and accurately reflect the meeting for the public record. Here's action item number 3. Please remove that incorrect statement from the minutes because the coalition did not consume the entire hour for public comment time, June 27th. And while you're at it, here's action item number 4. Remove the hearsay that's inaccurate in your June 6th minutes. You quote Bob Vokoun as saying he would like everyone to get along. There are attorneys involved now, so everything has to go through them. That's simply not true. Or is it that what you or someone else told Bob to say? At any rate, it's incorrect and misleading. As action item number 5, we ask you to remove the incorrect statement in the June 6th minutes that says there are attorneys involved now. So no comment questions, so comments and questions should go through them.
If you have questions about what's inaccurate in your minutes, our coalition representatives would be happy to work with you to make sure that the meeting minutes are accurate. You seem to be annoyed that the public is now attending, listening to, and engaging in your public meetings. Your agendas are cryptic and you fail to openly speak at the public meetings. This is not a private club. You are elected and the public should not be kept in the dark. The public has a right to know what you're doing and how you are spending our tax dollars. When we ask questions, we deserve answers from you as county employees. For example, why aren't you willing to update the county's outdated commercial wind energy ordinance that you reapproved May 16th without a single public hearing or required public notice? Can you explain what you're thinking?
That particular issue is being litigated as we speak. I have no comment, nor will I.
If you're concerned about how much time you put in as supervisors in your weekly meetings, here's a tip. And action item number 6. Start answering the questions posed by the people of Tama County each week in your weekly meetings. Your lack of transparency has taxpayers concerned about your ethics and lack of protecting public health or public safety of prime farmland. You should be engaging with, actively listening to, and answering the questions from the public at every one of your meetings. There's no reason you cannot speak to the public. If your attorney, Carlton Salmons of the Heartland Insurance Risk Pool, is telling you that you cannot talk to our coalition, perhaps it's time you get a new attorney who provides you better legal counsel. Here's action item number 7. Please tell us today what Carlton Salmons is charging Tama County per hour or as a retainer to represent the supervisors. Is Tammy here?
Not yet, I don't see her.
Does anybody here know what Carlton is charging?
We have, to my knowledge, we have not received a bill yet, so I don't know what he is charging. Tammy might know from,
So you hired a
You're
lawyer
inquiring.
without knowing what he charges?
I didn't hire a lawyer.
I don't understand why, if the taxpayers are paying for this lawyer through the insurance pool or whatever that is, why the lawyer would tell Larry not to speak to the public and say no comment. I don't understand that, if the taxpayers are paying for this bill.
I find it interesting too that Tammy told us last week that, she forgot. Well, if she forgot, apparently she knew. And, so somebody knows what the county is getting charged. And Laura, you said you don't know either?
No, I do not know.
Surely, Laura, you can finally let the public know what the hourly rate is for the Polk County attorney the supervisors hired to represent them, instead of using Tama County attorney Brent Hearing. Could one of you please answer action item number 8? Well, apparently nobody knows what the hourly rate the Tama County taxpayers are paying Carlton Salmons to defend the supervisors. None of you give the taxpayers much confidence that you are using tax dollars wisely. It's a simple question. What the hourly rate or the contracted rate for a retainer that the attorney, Carlton Salmons, is charging Tama County to defend the supervisors? Does anyone in here know? Let me make it crystal clear for all of you county employees. Even though Richard Arp has filed a lawsuit against the supervisors for their illegal reapproval of the wind energy conversion ordinance May 16th, without holding a single public hearing and without providing required hearing notices, you can talk to the coalition and the public. That goes for all the Tama County officials that your insurance attorney has now placed a gag order on. As taxpayer paid county employees, you are doing a disservice to Tama County taxpayers by and not answering even simple questions.
Iowa Code 335.9 describes who is responsible for enforcing the county zoning ordinances. The code reads, "The Board of Supervisors shall appoint an administrative officer authorized to enforce the resolutions or ordinances adopted by the Board of Supervisors. The administrative officer may be a person holding other public office in the county or in a city or other governmental subdivision within the county. And the Board of Supervisors is authorized to pay the officer compensation as it deems fit. It is your responsibility as supervisors and that of zoning administrator Todd Apple to do your jobs. That means it's the county's job to monitor and enforce compliance to the commercial wind energy conversion system ordinance and the conditional use permits issued by Tama County for wind projects. Each week, more citizens see the way you are running your public meetings and our county government. And the more they do, the more taxpayers are gravely concerned about Tama County's future. As supervisors, since you choose not to speak to the public, to answer questions in the public comment portion of the public meetings. The public fills that void and provides the leadership to facilitate public discussion during these meetings. That's another example of how, as Dave Stewart clearly pointed out in your June 20th meeting, you're failing to lead.
Your June 27th minutes, which were not published on your website as of July 5th meeting, at which we spoke, are also incorrect in other ways. Our coalition never stated that Tom Swercheski of Conifer Power, associated with the Salt Creek project, was from out of state, as your minutes say. That's incorrect. We referred to out of state developers. It is a fact that Conifer Power, the company, is registered in the state of Florida. So here's action item number 9. Please correct your June 27th minutes to remove the line that refers to our coalition as stating Tom Swercheski of Conifer Power is from out of state, as that is not what we said.
We also find it odd that you're promoting Conifer Power and their proposed Salt Creek project in your minutes, yet you rarely accurately portray the requests and comments of our coalition in your minutes. That's despite the fact that we give you our written testimony, so you are more likely to state our concerns accurately for the public record.
Why are you continuing to attempt to stifle the rights to free speech, freedom of assembly, and other rights of the Tama County Against Turbines coalition? Why are you stating in your minutes that Salt Creek is reporting our coalition is refusing to meet with them? That does not belong in your public meeting record. Our coalition's focus is and continues to be engaging with you as county officials responsible for creating and enforcing land use and industrial wind ordinances, not with private developers who are repeatedly trying to bully and threaten us as private citizens. And we've told you and the developers exactly that. We have repeatedly pointed out that our coalition's work is not with the private developers. Therefore, we have no reason to meet with them. Private developers or their investors don't create or enforce Tama County's wind ordinances. Or at least they shouldn't be. That's your job. That's up to you as county officials, working together with us as Tama County taxpayers and concerned citizens. Our offer stands to work with Tama County representatives to update the county's wind energy conversion system ordinance and permitting and enforcing process.
Your June 27th minutes appear to be a commercial for an endorsement of Conifer Power and the Salt Creek project, rather than an objective public record. For example, why did you include mention of the June 28th Salt Creek Town Hall meeting and time in the minutes? Here's action item number 10. Remove the Conifer Power wind developer sales pitch and claims from the minutes of your June 27th meeting. Here's an example of how Benton County Supervisors recorded a presentation by a wind developer in their June 7th minutes. So I'll read that to you here, how they recorded it. Olivia Netter, project developer for Liberty Power, presented a proposal to the board for a wind project in Benton County. Liberty Power is based out of Ontario, Canada, and currently has 1,541 operating turbines and would like 1,000 more. There were numerous members of the public present to voice against such a project in Benton County. Mark Greenlee, land use administrator, explained how Benton County has an agricultural land preservation ordinance that would prohibit any new non-ag use changes on land with a CSR of 70 or above. Benton County is classified as an agricultural land use district, and any new non-ag use has to be reviewed and approved by the supervisors. Benefits include tax revenues and employment. Also sharing the timeline that is included in support of local groups and businesses their company would provide. Al Schaefbach, one of the citizens in attendance, voiced his opinion, stressing they do not want wind towers on ag land and they would not get public support. Another citizen, Lynn Rinderneck, asked why they don't go out to the desert in Arizona. Nieder explained this area selected has the highest wind speeds. Nieder thanked the room for their time and voiced how they will still like to come present the information and feel out the counties to see who would have interest or not. Supervisor Primer asked if the county needed a moratorium on wind and solar until they get additional rules and regulations in place. County attorney answered that under the current land use ordinance, they virtually don't have any place in the county that these would be allowed. Supervisor Seaman announced, "That's all we got. Your game plan here is not favorable for you." Tama County should use this as an example.
Tama County should follow Benton County's land use example. Here's action item number 11. Tama County should protect productive farmland by not allowing any industrial wind or solar projects to be permitted for use on productive farmland with a corn suitability rating of 70 or higher, period. Will you take a vote on that today?
No comment.
No comment.
Or will you please add that to your agenda to take a vote on that in the future?
No comment.
Will you schedule a public hearing on it?
No.
No comment.
If not, why not, guys? Why not?
Instead of no, why don't you take it under advisement?
Why not?
Pardon me? I can't hear you back.
No comment.
Who are you serving?
Who are you serving? Is the comment back here.
We intend to serve all of Tama County. I know there's people in the audience today that don't believe we're doing that. That's the only comment I have.
Will you finally and permanently enforce Tama County's land use regulation that no industrial projects, including industrial wind or solar projects, will be permitted on Tama County farmland with a CSR of 70 or higher going forward?
No comment.
That's how Benton County handles it. And it works. Benton County's approach serves the public health, the public safety, and preservation of farmland, property values, and quality of life needs of its taxpayers.
It is not Tama County's role to be promoting or favoring industrial wind projects or developers. Your job is to remain neutral and impartial, to serve the public. Benton County archives each Board of Supervisors meeting agenda, the minutes, and video on their website for easy access by the public. They stream their meetings live on YouTube. Is Tama County still working toward that goal?
I'm sorry, I just said I have no comment.
Do you know Bill? We've asked you to add to your agenda to take a vote to stream your Board of Supervisors meeting on YouTube. Here's action item number 12. We're asking you, will you add it to your July 18th agenda to take a vote on live streaming each Board of Supervisors public meeting on YouTube and archiving it for public record on the county's website? Could you add that to the agenda to discuss? No. Your minutes need to more accurately reflect the meeting discussion and not create a narrative for your supportive developers or whatever maneuvers you are trying to make to shut down public input to your meetings. You seem annoyed that the public attends your meetings instead of being grateful, as you should be, that so many taxpayers truly care about Tama County's quality of life and its future.
Concerned citizens have no confidence in your ability to look out for our public safety. After all, those Salt Creek mud pads remain unfenced, undrained, and full of water. It has now been 7 weeks, that's 49 days, since May 23rd when I reported that public safety concern and potential drowning hazard to Zoning Administrator Todd Atfel. Yet you and Todd Atfel continue to deny responsibility for the county to address the situation to enforce the requirements of the county-issued conditional use permit. You pass the buck off to developers. That's unacceptable. By the way, is Zoning Administrator Todd Atfel here today? If not, why not?
No comment.
It'd be good to meet him since we have a lot of topics on this. It'd be good to get him in here if you guys get some time.
Not once has he attended this meeting while we've been here. Isn't that a little odd? Our zoning administrator?
Did you guys happen to check out our coalition's Facebook page this week? If not, here's a few photos for you. So I printed out so you can each have a copy. I'll leave one for Dan as well. These are these mud pads in the middle of farm fields that we've been talking about. A member posted on our page. What do you guys think of that? Any comment on those? Bill?
No comment.
Can you see that across the road? Not sure how close one is to your house. So these were
I
poured.
don't have any nearby.
Not near you? So these were poured in December of 2020. These proposed wind turbine sites remain out of compliance with the conditional use permit issued by Tama County. As you can see from these photos, there's no 6-foot fence as required by Tama County's conditional use permit. The mud pads are not seeded down. This is a year and a half ago, guys, and they're not seeded. There are noxious weeds growing up around them. Plus, and most importantly, they are not properly drained as required. They're full of water. That creates a public safety hazard as potential drowning hazard. The lack of compliance with these Salt Creek proposed turbine sites also creates a public health hazard. These undrained sites can create a breeding ground for mosquitoes or other pests that can carry disease like West Nile virus that can affect humans, livestock, and wildlife. So here's action item number 13. We officially request that Todd Atfel be required to attend next week's July 18th Board of Supervisors meeting and that he attend every supervisors meeting each week until the Salt Creek noncompliance issue is proven to be fully resolved. As evidently by the individual's photos of each proposed mud pad turbine site that's currently in violation. Since Todd Atfel reports to you, we're asking you to require him to be present during your public meeting comment time each week. to provide full transparency on what he and others in the county are doing each week to correct the non-compliance of the Salt Creek proposed turbine site mud pads. That includes reporting the date that each site will be reseeded, which photos of reseeding upon completion, and in which at least a 6-foot tall fence will be installed around each site, and photos of each site when that is completed, and when each mud pad site will be permanently drained, and photos of each site showing that each mud pad site has been completely and permanently and properly drained. And when that work is completed, we are requesting copies of each mud pad turbine location noted on each photo as to the exact latitude and longitude and landowner's name with the photos of sufficient quality to verify that the work has been completed to bring them into compliance with Tama County's conditional use permits.
Those permits were issued by zoning administrator Todd Apfel, and we're asking that written documentation be presented during a public Board of Supervisors meeting on public record and be signed and dated by the Tama County official certifying their compliance with Tama County's conditional use permit, notarized and placed on public record on the Tama County website for permanent and public access. Larry and Bill, are you clear on that action item request so you can relay it to Todd Apfel, since he reports to you and it's up to you to make sure he follows through?
Did he respond? I can't hear.
No comment.
No comment.
And why would you say no comment? It's up to him to report to you guys. He has blatantly and clearly not done his job. These are not farm ponds, guys. These are industrial turbine construction sites. They, as Salt Creek, are in clear violation. They did not meet the ordinance that this county has in place. One of the few ordinances this county has in place. But yet, we let them just get by with it. They run over you guys. They use you like a doormat. They need to be held accountable.
Your agenda today also lists this topic under other, updating possible change to public comment policy, rules of conduct for open meetings. You may recall that you approved that policy just 3 weeks ago today on June 20th. You approved the policy without providing it to the public as a link to your agenda or even asking for public input on it. We pointed out during your June 20th meeting in our public comments that if you are truly being transparent, you would post the policy along with your agenda to give the public a chance to review it prior to the meeting. You failed to do that on June 20th.
And oops, you did it again. You guys did it again. Why do you fail to provide the public with a proposed policy update as part of your agenda? We specifically asked you to do that on June 20th when you passed the policy without public input. And once again, in proposing an update just 3 weeks after you passed the policy without public notice or public input on the proposed policy language, you're repeating the same pattern. It's a familiar pattern we've experienced from you over the past 11 weeks. We've packed your meetings. A pattern of total disregard for the general public. A pattern of doing whatever you please. Your minutes continually downplay our coalition and what we ask of you to do as public servants. One thing that is accurate in the June 27th minutes is the line that says the supervisors had no comment to the group. You got that right. Every time you say no comment, or now refuse to even say anything, you look more foolish and guilty of whatever it is you don't want the public to know.
Each time we have addressed you, we stress the fact that our coalition stands ready to work with you and county officials to update Tama County's outdated commercial wind energy conversion system ordinance. Yet you refuse to discuss the topic. You refuse to even acknowledge how grossly out of date Tama County's ordinance and wind permitting process truly is, or how that puts Tama County at great risk, both for the taxpayers and the county.
Larry, you often expressed your fear of being sued by Salt Creek developers if the county changed its wind ordinance. That's one lame excuse. But as Andrea Dvorak stated so directly last week, maybe that's because you too are being bullied by the industrial wind developers. As elected public officials, you are elected to be public servants, not tyrants, as Nancy Yuska so eloquently pointed out last week. Remember, you guys work for us. The taxpayers who provide your salaries as supervisors and Tama County employees. It's not the other way around. You have a duty and an obligation to uphold the law, to enforce the ordinances and permits issued by the county, not to run and hide from them and to claim you and other county employees have nothing to do with them. That's simply untrue. It's up to you guys as the county government officials to enforce our ordinances, regulations, and permits consistently, objectively, and fairly. Your job is to work for the public, not against them, as you have tried to do every step of the way in trying to stifle our coalition's rights. To free speech and the right to participate in public meetings. You still refuse to even take a vote on imposing a moratorium on industrial wind projects, as we have repeatedly asked each week since April 25th. Here's action item number 14. Will you agree to take a vote on implementing a moratorium on approval of any new phases of industrial wind projects starting today? Bill?
comment.
answer, I can't
No
hear.
comment? Sorry.
Hey, I got a question I've been thinking about that you should be able to comment on. It's not related to the wind turbines that much. But, last week we touched on what the county debt was. And, I said I think you said you didn't know exactly what it was. Well, could you give us a rough idea what the county debt was, I know the national debt's like 30.5 trillion, I know that, and it's $91,000 per citizen. And, being the Board of Supervisors, I would think you'd have a pretty close idea what the county debt would be.
I can look it up real quick if you give me a minute to go across the hallway.
That'd be great.
Okay, is it okay if I go right now and go get that?
Yep.
Okay,
Boy,
okay.
Got another question. Has, Tom Apple been restricted by you or by some other, enterprise, nuclear towers? Has he been restricted from coming to this meeting recently, or is he, by you or somebody else? And why hasn't he come? Have you invited him?
Are you answering, do you have laryngitis, or are you sick, do you have a temperature, what's going on with your voice? I can't hear you.
Maybe all of the above, but I have no comment. No comment.
Can I just ask, what were your feelings when you saw those pictures of those holes? Can I ask that?
I didn't hear the question.
What was your reaction when you saw the pictures of those holes that are dug? Can you answer that? Can't answer it? Mr. Fairclough? Because I tell you, I was sick to my stomach when I saw those. I thought we were doing that to our precious God-given farm ground. And anybody that's on the fence to build one of these things, need to see those pictures. I couldn't believe it.
thanks, Sandy, and there has been a lot of folks see those pictures. And again, Salt Creek is in clear violation of our county ordinances. Would you agree with that, Tom?
I wouldn't,
Why not?
you're not the authority.
Who is the authority?
But Tom, the permit said you were gonna do it.
Hey,
so-
Yeah.
We live here.
Would the
That's
ordinance be
your
the authority?
Hold on,
supervisor here,
hold on.
the ones that.
Let's do one at a time, okay? Somebody had a question for Tom, I don't know if you read the answer, but.
In the conditional use permits, it says specifically if they need to be drained and they are not.
The county's the authority.
And the county wrote the conditional use permit, so.
And they said they need to be drained and they're not. And they need to be seeded and they're not.
You guys are in clear
So he's
violation
saying it's your
of the
guys'
county
fault.
ordinance.
The county doesn't agree.
Oh, really? Who told you that?
Who is the county?
Cause these guys can't speak. They say no comment, so who told you that, Tom?
Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and let you yell at me, Joe.
I'm not gonna yell at you,
The county.
but I'm not gonna sit here and listen to this line of crap.
I have a question.
Listen, I've been sitting here listening to your line of crap for 10 weeks.
Nobody invited you.
John, it's enough.
Can I ask something?
So you do speak.
As I sit here and I see every one of these people sitting here listening, I want you to notice over here. He's been on the phone, clicking along the entire meeting, the comments are coming up. If you're so interested, why don't you pay attention like the rest of us?
I am paying attention.
On your, doing this the whole time?
Yeah, I'm taking notes about what we're talking about right
Why
now.
does it keep going up and down and all these different things?
Because I'm taking notes.
Thank you. Do you want a picture that the supervisor's got?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, so he could see the picture.
I've seen the picture. We've had
Do you
people
think
on
you're
site.
okay?
Here's action item number 15. Will you agree to partner with our coalition to start the process to update the county's minimal, outdated wind energy conversion system ordinance you reapproved without a single change May 16th. Despite hundreds of taxpayers calling for comprehensive change to update it.
No comment.
No comment.
Your Polk County,
Okay.
Support. Didn't want to talk.
your Polk County-based insurance attorney, Carlton Sammons, has not only put a gag order on you, but apparently on others in county government and in citizen representative roles too. That's just plain wrong. It's also wrong and unethical to attempt to rewrite history in the minutes of your meetings, as we've pointed out. You should be grateful that so many care about Tama County that they take time off from work and out of their day to drive to Toledo to attend your 8:30 a.m. Monday morning meetings. But instead, you are doing everything possible to shut down public comment. If you can't stand the heat, maybe it's time you guys get out of the kitchen. You were elected to listen, to learn, to research, to consider all viewpoints, to make informed decisions based on what's best to protect the public health and the public safety of the people of Tama County, to protect our greatest natural resource, our farmland, and to look out for our human resources in the people who now live and work throughout Tama County, and for future generations. You were not elected to serve your own personal interests or those of your family members and friends. That's not how public service works. You work for all of us. You can't ignore us. We're here to stay, and we're not going away. And we will continue to do everything legally possible to protect the public health, the public safety, and precious farmland for the people of Tama County.
I do think we need to have Tom answer, what county official told you that Salt Creek was exempt from the ordinance?
I didn't say anything.
You said Tama County said that it was okay. Who told,
I
who
said
from
the county
Tama?
disagreed with you.
Well,
Who
who
said that?
specifically?
Who disagreed with that?
I don't need to get into that.
Well, you do.
No, I really don't.
Can
Do
you
you-
guys answer that?
Do you know who told him that they did not have to follow the ordinance?
Yeah, we're curious who's speaking to Salt Creek because you guys won't talk to us. So what do you guys got going on?
Why make an ordinance?
Yeah,
What's a permit for if it's not gonna be enforced? Why even have it?
yeah, we're curious what that ordinance is there for. You don't enforce it, but it's one of the few ordinances we have. And I know Bob last week referred to it as a farm pond, a creek. That's not the case. That is an industrial turbine construction site. The only reason it's there is they were given a conditional use permit for that. To comply, they had to build a 6-foot fence. To comply, it had to be properly drained. To comply, it had to be seeded. By the way, your local Tama County weed commissioner is now hearing that they're covered with noxious weeds, thistles. Now, if you were a farmer and had those thistles in your pasture and you didn't spray them, I'll guarantee you'd be getting a call from the county.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But for some reason, he knows that you guys agree with Salt Creek. So somebody has spoken to him. Or he's lying, which I would believe that too. But, so somebody's talking, and he's admitted it. And yet you don't enforce the ordinances we have in place. If somebody drives 70 mile an hour by here, Dennis Kuchera is gonna go out there and run them down and give them a ticket. Or exactly right out here, it'd probably be jail time. Yet, we let Salt Creek get by with this. That's what developers are doing to you guys.
And what's next? This is what they're doing.
Board of Supervisors.
Exactly, Craig.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna put you on hold, okay? Mm-hmm. So Dan is on hold for the meeting.
Okay.
So I'm really interested which one of you guys is talking to Salt Creek because he admitted it. What do you got going? What are you hiding? Obviously there's something, because I think if they told you the world was square, you guys would believe it. You are doing anything to support them and nothing to support your local taxpayers, the people that pay your salaries, the people that elected you for this privilege. Where are the turbine supporters? Where are they? Tom? You know why he's here, it's his paycheck. That's it. Bob supports turbines on today. Last week he was a little wishy-washy. I'm just curious where all these supporters are at, but yet you will cater to the wind developers. That is exactly what you have done as our supervisors. And you refuse to stick up for the people that pour money into this county every day as taxpayers. Like we said last week, we give you guys a failing grade. It's a sad affair here in Tama County.
I've got a question. What policy updates are you guys considering for later in the meeting for the public comment change?
We'll be discussing that in a little bit.
Will we be able to ask questions at that time?
Well, if the coalition is over with, as far as their comments,
I was wondering,
if the coalition is done with their comments, I'll address your question.
Believe they're done.
And you'll still be in the public comment time because it's 25 after, but a different issue. So, are you finished with your comments?
I personally am.
Let me read that. So Laura, you handed that paper, so if we're looking at, is it 9 million is
Yes.
the current debt?
That's the total on the front. It breaks it down into the two
Okay.
GO bonds that we have.
Transportation and public safety.
Yeah, public safety is the road one and transportation is that one, and then public safety is the 911 bond for the current radio communication project.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are you done?
Yeah, unless
thank you
anybody
for
else
that
is.
information for me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, now your question.
Yes, what updates are you considering to discuss later in the meeting for the public comment policy change?
We're thinking about limiting the public comment to half hour, first half hour, because, obviously there's been a lot of repetition in the comments anyway. and we need time to work, last week,
There's
for example,
repetition because
our
nobody
recorder was
answers
here.
questions.
And she couldn't get in to talk to us because of, the whole hour was used up for that. So we're proposing to revise it to allow that to happen with our, and others that wanna see us as well.
So you cut the public comment time from an hour down to a half hour?
Yeah. Well,
You haven't voted on it yet.
well, your portion of it would be a half hour. But that'd be another half, the rest of the time would be for department heads or other folks that have.
There isn't anybody else here, have been here.
What's that?
There hasn't been anybody else here.
Yes, there has.
There has
There
been.
has
and
been.
they-
There has been,
Because they
and they
didn't feel
can't
they
come
could
in.
get in and talk.
Did you ever think maybe you need to expand the time? So everybody can talk, instead of trying again to stifle us?
Dan,
You're not paid by the hour.
I'm gonna put you on hold again, just keep speaking, okay?
So I wanna make sure that people can come in.
Oh, absolutely, I think everybody should be allowed to talk. But did you ever think instead of trying to cut us down, how about expand your time?
You know, I haven't thought about that.
So a few weeks ago, one of the questions was if you would consider finding a larger venue that also included microphones so that more people could fit into the room. Is that something you're also
We're
still
considering the
considering?
microphone only.
How's
not-
that,
not
how's that
work.
coming?
Huh?
What progress has there been on microphones?
Our IT guy is ordering it because it has to be installed up above. And then Dirk will be installing it with the IT guy.
Thank you.
So the department heads, that's of county organizations, you said department heads wanna come and speak, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
They
Normally,
they don't
those
come
times are-
during the main agenda?
No, you can't. Everybody misunderstands the main agenda. The main agenda is for them to act on certain things. It's not for public comment, it's not
Yeah.
for anybody to say anything. Actually, nobody has a right to talk
Right, no.
unless they approach you or you're on the agenda. So, no, they can't.
But I
They come
mean,
in
the
before.
department heads, aren't they coming in to request something or talk about
No,
county
they come,
business?
nope, they come
Well,
in
that's
to update, the supervisors on changes that are coming. Nothing that has to be acted on, they just keep in touch with the supervisors, cause there's laws that change. We have like 3 or 4 of them that just changed recently that we're having to deal with, so.
Hey
yeah.
Tammy, I'm glad you showed up. You know, last week you told us you forgot what the county was getting charged per hour for Carlton Salmons.
Yeah,
Do you know now?
yeah,
Very,
it's
what,
$175 an hour.
$175 an hour for Carlton Salmons.
Yep, it's pretty cheap. Most of them are $275 to $300 an hour, but because cause he's with Heartland, we get discounted at $175.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If you guys, the board, would talk to us, it would cut down a lot of time that we're spending meeting here.
I understand this, Craig, but you know, I've learned a long time ago, if you don't wanna take the advice of your attorney, then you better not have asked him.
That'd be good.
Maybe your attorney should come to the meeting to help us understand.
And my understanding is this time frame is now over with, so.
What did you say?
Your time was nearly 9:30, so, and everybody agreed earlier that this portion of the meeting by the coalition was over.
That was for us. We
I
got-
said I personally would not be speaking.
Yeah, we got people in the back that.
There's citizens back here that, they have every right to ask a question.
But now it's 9:30, that's why.